Do this one thing daily, and people will treat you differently. Lesson 1. The single most powerful idea you'll ever learn. I want to share with you a story about two young men who grew up in the same neighborhood. They attended the same schools, played on the same baseball teams, and even worked at the same grocery store during high school. Yet by age 40, one man lived in a beautiful home with a loving family and a thriving business, while the other struggled paycheck to paycheck, bitter about his circumstances and envious of others. What made the difference? It wasn't intelligence, talent, or opportunity. It was something far more fundamental, something that has shaped the destiny of every successful person who has ever lived. The mind is like fertile soil. Whatever seeds you plant in this rich earth will eventually grow and bear fruit. Plant corn, you get corn. Plant roses, you get roses. Plant weeds, or nothing at all, and that's precisely what you'll harvest. This simple truth governs our lives more than most people ever realize. Here it is. We become what we think about most of the time. This single idea has transformed more lives than perhaps any other. Yet sadly, 95% of people go through life never truly grasping its power. They allow their thoughts to wander aimlessly, focusing on what they don't want, what they fear, what they resent. Then they wonder why those very things keep showing up in their lives. I remember meeting a factory worker named James several years ago. For 15 years, he had worked the assembly line, dreaming of something better, but feeling trapped. Then one day, he heard this principle explained and decided to test it. Instead of thinking about his limitations, he began focusing intensely on the small trucking business he wanted to build. Every day for 30 minutes, before work and 30 minutes before bed, James visualized himself managing his own fleet. He researched the industry during lunch breaks. He calculated exactly how much he needed to save for his first truck. Most importantly, he began seeing himself as a business owner, not just a factory worker. Within 18 months, James had purchased his first truck. 5 years later, his fleet had grown to 23 vehicles serving 3 states. Today, his company employs over 60 people, including many from that same factory. I challenge you to try this 30-day experiment. Choose one goal that truly matters to you. Write it down clearly. Then spend 15 minutes each morning, and 15 minutes each morning, and 15 minutes each evening thinking deeply about this goal as if it were already accomplished. Feel the emotions you would feel upon achieving it. Visualize the details. Do this faithfully for 30 days without missing a single session. The results will astonish you. Your daily actions will gradually align with your dominant thoughts. Opportunities previously invisible will suddenly appear evident. Your energy and enthusiasm will magnify. People will respond to you differently because you yourself will be different. Remember, the mind doesn't distinguish between what's vividly imagined and what's real. It simply works to bring into physical reality whatever occupies your thoughts most consistently. This isn't mystical philosophy. It's practical psychology. So guard your thoughts carefully. Monitor what you allow to take root in the garden of your mind. For as surely as spring follows winter, the harvest of your life will reflect exactly what you've planted in your thoughts. Lesson 2. Why your attitude is your passport to success. Your attitude is the most powerful force in your life. It's invisible, yet it shapes everything you touch and determines how every person you meet will respond to you. I've spent decades studying successful men and women, and I can tell you with absolute certainty that attitude creates its own magnetic field around you. Think about how you feel when you encounter someone radiating negativity. You can sense it immediately, can't you? That invisible cloud follows them everywhere, repelling opportunity and goodwill. Now contrast that with someone whose attitude lifts the entire room. People are naturally drawn to them. This is no accident. Your attitude broadcasts a signal that others pick up subconsciously. When you cultivate a positive, expectant attitude, you create an unseen force that works 24 hours a day in your favor. What truly separates successful people from the masses is how they respond to failure. The average person sees failure as evidence they should quit. Successful people see failure as valuable feedback, simply information about what doesn't work. Thomas Edison failed over 10,000 times before creating a workable light bulb. When asked about his failures, he famously replied, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." I'd like you to take 5 minutes right now for a simple attitude audit. Ask yourself, what is my typical response when things go wrong? Do you look for someone to blame? Do you look for someone to blame? Do you immediately assume the worst? Or do you ask, what can I learn from this? And what opportunity might be hidden here? Your honest answer reveals your current position on the attitude spectrum. The good news is that attitudes can be changed deliberately, starting today. Even during difficult circumstances, you can maintain a success attitude through a technique I call acting as if. Your mind cannot tell the difference between a real and a vividly imagined experience. When you act as if you're already the confident, capable person you aim to become, your subconscious mind accepts this as reality and begins reshaping your actual behavior. There's remarkable power in what I call a decided heart. When you make a firm decision about who you are and how you'll respond to life's challenges, something extraordinary happens. The universe seems to reorganize itself to accommodate your new self-image. Remember this truth: your attitude is entirely within your control. No person or circumstance can make you feel inferior without your consent. Starting today, guard your attitude as your most precious possession, because it truly is your passport to success. When you do this one thing daily, maintain an attitude of positive expectancy. People will indeed treat you differently, and opportunities will appear where none existed before. Lesson 3. Setting goals that pull you forward. Have you ever watched a ship leave harbor without a destination? Of course not. No captain would dare set sail without knowing exactly where he's headed. Yet this is precisely how most people live their lives, drifting aimlessly on the sea of life without a port to aim for. A goal is like a magnet. It attracts not only you, but the circumstances, people, and opportunities needed to achieve it. This magnetic quality of a well-formed goal is what separates the extraordinary from the ordinary. Let me tell you something important. There's a world of difference between wishes and goals. A wish is a flimsy thing, something you'd like to have happen, but with no real conviction behind it. A goal, on the other hand, has substance. It has substancity. It has a deadline. For a goal to truly pull you forward, it must meet 6 requirements. First, it must be something you truly desire, not what your parents want, not what your parents want, not what society expects, but what you genuinely want. Second, it must be specific and measurable. I want to be wealthy is not a goal, it's a wish. I will earn $100,000 by December 30. First next year is a goal. Third, your goal must have a time limit. Deadlines create urgency and prevent procrastination. Fourth, write it down. Something magical happens when you transfer a thought from your mind to paper. Fifth, identify obstacles you'll face and plan to overcome them. And sixth, determine what you're willing to give in exchange for reaching your goal. Nothing worthwhile comes without a price. Here's a technique I've used throughout my life with remarkable results. I call it the card technique. Take an index card and write your primary goal at the top. Below it, write specifically what you'll give to achieve it, the habits you'll develop, the time you'll invest, the skills you'll master. Carry this card with you everywhere. Read it upon waking and before sleeping. Read it during lunch breaks and waiting periods. This simple practice programs your subconscious mind in a powerful way. Your subconscious doesn't distinguish between reality and vividly imagined events. When you review your goal regularly, your subconscious accepts it as an instruction and begins working, even while you sleep, to bring it into reality. Remember, the human mind is like the rudder of a ship. Small adjustments made consistently will dramatically change your destination over time. Daily review of your goals is the adjustment that keeps you on course. I've seen this principle transform lives countless times. The accountant who reviewed his goal of starting his own firm daily for 18 months before making the leap the nurse who visualized her wellness center years before opening its doors, the salesman who doubled his income in 9 months through faithful application of this technique. We become what we think about most. By setting clear goals and reviewing them daily, you're planting the seeds of achievement in the fertile soil of your mind. This one, daily habit, creates an unstoppable momentum that will inevitably pull you toward success. Lesson 4. Cultivating the courage to begin. My friends, there exists in this world a force so powerful that it can transform the most ordinary life into one of extraordinary achievement. This force is not some mystical power available only to the gifted few. No, this force lies dormant within each of us, waiting patiently to be awakened. That force is action, simple, deliberate, consistent action. I've observed throughout my life that the primary difference between those who succeed and those who merely dream is not talent, education, or luck. It is the courage to begin and the discipline to continue. Fear holds more people back from their true potential than any external obstacle ever could. But here's the remarkable truth. Action is the antidote to fear. Most people wait for confidence before taking action, but this approach is backward. Confidence doesn't precede action. It follows it. When you take that first small step, even with knees shaking and heart pounding, something magical happens. The fear begins to dissolve, replaced by a growing sense of capability. Consider the 5-second rule, not the one about dropping food, but the principle that when you have an impulse to act on a goal, you must physically move within 5 seconds or your brain will kill the idea. Count backward. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, then move. This simple technique bypasses the overthinking that leads to paralysis. The most successful people understand the power of small daily habits. They recognize that excellence is not a singular act, but a habit. You will not become healthy by exercising vigorously once. You become healthy by exercising regularly once. You become healthy by exercising regularly. You will not master a skill by practicing intensely for one day. You master it through consistent, deliberate practice over time. Imagine improving just one each day. This seems insignificant in the moment, almost invisible, but compound this improvement over a year and you'll find yourself 7 times better than when you started. This is the miracle of continuous improvement. I think of Sarah, a woman I met who dreamed of writing a novel but felt overwhelmed by the magnitude of the task. Rather than focusing on writing an entire book, she committed to writing just 300 words every morning before work. Some days, the words flowed easily. Other days, each word was a struggle. But she kept her commitment. 1 year later, she had completed her first manuscript. The morning ritual deserves special attention. How you begin your day often determines how you live your day. Champions understand this principle and guard their morning hours vigilantly, whether it's reading, exercise, meditation, or strategic planning. These first hours set the tone for everything that follows. The task before you may seem daunting. The mountain may appear too high to climb. But remember, you need not see the entire path to take the first step. All great journeys begin with that single, courageous step forward. And with each step thereafter, your confidence grows, your skills sharpen, and your resolve strengthens. My friends, cultivate the courage to begin. Start small if you must, but start today. For in the act of beginning lies the seed of all achievement. Lesson 5. The strange secret of serving others first. Have you ever noticed how the most successful people in any field seem to have something in common? It isn't just talent. It isn't just hard work. It's something far more powerful, yet surprisingly simple. They've discovered the remarkable secret of service. I call this principle strange because it appears to contradict what many believe about success. Most people think success comes from focusing on themselves, their needs, their goals, their desires. But the greatest achievers understand that true success flows in the opposite direction. The size of your success is determined by the size of your service. This is as reliable as gravity. When you make serving others your primary focus, you activate a universal law that cannot be denied. The more value you provide to others, the more value returns to you, often multiplied many times over. Consider the local business owner who stays open late to help a customer in need, or the employee who solves problems without being asked. These people aren't just being nice. They're planting seeds that will grow into forests of opportunity. Look around you. Every fortune in America began with someone solving a problem for someone else. Henry Ford made transportation affordable for ordinary people. Thomas Edison illuminated our darkness. The greatest fortunes flow to those who find ways to serve the most people. The law of reciprocity is woven into human nature. When someone does something for us, we feel a natural desire to give back. This isn't manipulation. It's the honest exchange of value that forms the foundation of all meaningful relationships and successful enterprises. How can you apply this principle today? Begin by asking different questions. Instead of what can I get? Ask what can I give? Instead of how can I be successful? Ask how can I be valuable? These questions will guide you toward opportunities others miss. Develop your unique value proposition by understanding your special talents and how they can benefit others. Each of us has natural abilities that, when properly directed toward service, become powerful tools for creating success. I knew a young man who worked in a factory. Unlike his co-workers who did the minimum required, he constantly looked for ways to improve efficiency and solve problems. He didn't ask for recognition. He simply served. Within 3 years, he moved from the factory floor to management and eventually started his own thriving business. What made the difference? He understood that solving problems for others would ultimately solve his own problems. Remember this: the extra mile is a remarkable place because there's so little traffic on it. When you go beyond what's expected when nobody's watching, you build character and reputation simultaneously. Success notices these things. The strange secret is really no secret at all. It's been taught by the greatest teachers and demonstrated by the most successful people throughout history. Serve others first, and the rewards will follow naturally. This is not just good advice. It's a principle that, when applied daily, will transform how people respond to you and change the trajectory of your entire life. Lesson 6. Mastering your mind's remarkable machinery. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to notice opportunities that others miss entirely? It's as if they have special glasses that reveal hidden treasures in plain sight. The truth is far more fascinating. They've learned to master the remarkable machinery we all possess between our ears. Your brain is the most sophisticated instrument in the known universe. Within that 3-pound organ rests more potential than in all the computers ever built. Yet most people never learn to operate this magnificent equipment properly. At this very moment, your thoughts are creating electrical impulses that shape your reality. These aren't just abstract concepts. They're physical energy patterns flowing through your neural pathways, determining what you notice, what you ignore, and ultimately, what your life becomes. The most powerful part of this system is something scientists call the reticular activating system, your brain's built-in search engine. This fascinating mechanism filters the millions of bits of information bombarding your senses every second. It decides what deserves your conscious attention and what remains in the background. Here's the miracle. You can program this system deliberately. When you focus on a specific goal or idea consistently, you're essentially telling your reticular activating system, "This is important to me. Help me notice anything related to it." Suddenly, resources and opportunities that were always present become visible to you for the first time. A real estate investor once told me how, after deciding to invest in apartment buildings, he began noticing for sale signs on properties he'd driven past hundreds of times before. Those buildings hadn't suddenly appeared. His focused attention had programmed his brain to spot what was always there. Your self-talk plays a crucial role in this programming process. The statements you repeat to yourself aren't just words. They're instructions to your subconscious mind. When you catch yourself saying, "I can't afford that," or "I'm not good enough," replace these limiting phrases with empowering alternatives. "How can I afford that?" or "I'm improving every day." Affirmations work powerfully when used correctly. The key is combining them with genuine emotion and vivid mental imagery. Don't just say, "I am successful." Close your eyes and see yourself performing at your best, feeling the satisfaction of achievement, hearing the satisfaction of achievement, hearing the congratulations of others. Create mental movies that rehearse success before it happens. Olympic athletes have used this technique for decades, running through perfect performances in their minds before stepping onto the field. Your subconscious cannot distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and an actual one. Both create neural pathways that shape your behavior. Make this your daily practice. Spend 10 minutes each morning directing your mental machinery toward your most important goals. See yourself already in possession of what you desire. Feel the emotions associated with that achievement. Your remarkable mind will begin working around the clock to transform those mental pictures into physical reality. Remember, the machinery is already there. You need only learn to operate it correctly, and a whole new world of possibility will open before you. Lesson 7. Time, your most precious resource. There is one asset we all possess in equal measure, yet use with vastly different results. It doesn't discriminate based on background, education, or social standing. This remarkable resource is time, the only truly non-renewable asset in our lives. You and I have exactly the same amount of time each day as Einstein did, as Lincoln did, as every great achiever throughout history. We each receive 24 hours, 1440 minutes, each and every day. The difference between extraordinary accomplishment and mediocrity lies not in how much time we have, but in how we choose to invest it. I've found that successful people guard their time as vigilantly as a banker guards gold. They understand that time management is really life management. When you manage your hours wisely, you manage your life wisely. You manage your life wisely. Begin by recognizing where your time currently goes. For just 1 week, keep a simple log of your activities. You'll likely be shocked to discover how much time slips away on trivial matters. Endless social media scrolling, mindless social media scrolling, mindless television, or unproductive conversations. These aren't inherently bad activities, but they extract a tremendous cost when they consume your most productive hours. Once you've identified your time wasters, implement the principle of batching similar tasks. Your mind works most efficiently when it can focus on related activities. Rather than jumping between email, phone calls, and creative work, designate specific blocks for each. You'll accomplish far more in less time. The most productive people I've studied guard their mornings religiously. The early hours, when your mind is fresh and distractions are few, represent your most valuable time for meaningful work. Reserve this period for your highest priorities, not responding to others' demands. Design your ideal day on paper, then defend it vigorously. This doesn't mean being inflexible, but rather having clear boundaries around your most productive periods. When you allow others to constantly interrupt your focus, you surrender control of your most precious resource. Remember Pareto's principle, the 80-20 rule, which tells us that 80 of our results come from just 20 of our efforts. Identify those vital few activities that yield your greatest results, then ruthlessly minimize everything else. Time, unlike money or possessions, passes regardless of how we use it. We cannot save it or store it. We can only invest it wisely in this present moment. The quality of your life will ultimately reflect the quality of your time investments. Ask yourself daily, is what I'm doing right now the highest and best use of my time? This simple question, consistently applied, will transform your productivity and ultimately your life. Your time is the canvas upon which you paint your achievements. Guard it, respect it, and invest it in activities aligned with your highest goals. Do this consistently, and you'll discover that time, this equal gift we all receive, becomes your greatest competitive advantage. Lesson 8. Turning adversity into advantage. Life has a peculiar way of testing our mettle. When we set sail toward our chosen harbor of success, we can be certain that storms will arise. This is not merely possible. It is inevitable. The question is not whether you will face adversity, but rather what you will do when it appears on your horizon. Throughout my years of studying successful men and women, I've observed a remarkable pattern. Those who achieve greatness share one distinct characteristic. They view problems not as brick walls, but as challenging puzzles that contain hidden opportunities. This perspective shift changes everything. Consider the story of a young Thomas Edison. When his laboratory burned to the ground, destroying years of notes and prototypes, his response was extraordinary. Instead of lamenting his misfortune, he told his son, "Go get your mother and all her friends. They'll never see a fire like this again." The next morning, standing amid the ashes of his life's work, Edison said, "There is great value in disaster. All our mistakes are burned up. Thank God we can start anew." Within 3 weeks, he invented the phonograph. The adversity that would have crushed most men became the catalyst for one of his greatest achievements. When you face a problem, train yourself to ask, where is the opportunity hidden within this challenge? This question activates your creative faculties and redirects your focus from what went wrong to what could go right. Remember, the same wind that extinguishes a candle propels a sailboat forward when the sails are properly positioned. A fundamental truth of human psychology is that we grow stronger through resistance, not through ease. The butterfly gains the strength to fly precisely because it must struggle to emerge from its cocoon. Remove that struggle, and you remove its ability to soar. Your obstacles are not punishment. They are training. The wealthy individual is not one who never faced financial hardship, but one who learned invaluable lessons through those experiences. The successful entrepreneur typically fails multiple times before finding the formula that works. What separates them from others is their refusal to let temporary defeat become permanent. Develop the habit of maintaining perspective during difficult times. When facing a setback, ask yourself, will this matter 5 years from now? This simple question immediately diminishes the emotional charge of most problems and allows your rational mind to seek solutions rather than dwelling on pain. Remember, too, that constraints often force innovation. The person with limited resources must think more creatively than the one with abundance. History's greatest achievements frequently emerged from necessity, the mother of invention. Make it your daily practice to reframe obstacles as stepping stones. When you encounter resistance, say to yourself, "This is happening for me, not to me." This shift in perspective transforms you from victim to victor, from passenger to pilot of your own destiny. The ancient Stoics had a practice called the premeditation of evils, mentally rehearsing potential challenges, so they wouldn't be caught unprepared. Similarly, develop the habit of anticipating obstacles on your path to success, not with fear, but with strategic foresight. Your greatest advantage in life will not be avoiding problems, but rather developing the capacity to transform them into opportunities. Do this one thing daily. Turn adversity into advantage, and people will indeed treat you differently. Lesson 9. The company you keep shapes the person you become. Have you ever noticed how a single apple, when it begins to rot, can affect the entire bushel? It's a simple law of nature, but one that applies just as powerfully to our human relationships. The people with whom we spend our time are silently, invisibly shaping who we are becoming. I've observed during my years of studying successful people that they are remarkably careful about their associations. They understand instinctively what research has now confirmed. We become the average of the 5 people with whom we spend the most time. Think about that for a moment. Look around at your 5 closest associates. Their income levels, their attitudes, their health habits, their ambitions, all of these are being averaged into your own life experience, whether you realize it or not. This isn't mystical thinking. It's practical reality. When you associate with people who complain constantly, you'll find yourself complaining more. Spend time with optimistic achievers, and you'll notice your own standards rising to meet theirs. A young woman I counseled was puzzled why she couldn't seem to advance in her career despite having excellent skills. When we examined her social circle, we discovered she spent evenings with friends who ridiculed ambition and mocked professional growth. No wonder she felt conflicted. Her subconscious mind was receiving mixed signals. Within 3 months of finding a new mastermind group, her career took a remarkable upward turn. The truly successful deliberately seek out those who are already where they want to be. They join organizations, attend events, and create relationships that pull them toward their goals rather than hold them back. But what if you're currently surrounded by negative influences? Must you abandon old friends and family? Of course not. Instead, begin consciously expanding your circle. Join groups aligned with your aspirations. Find a mentor. Read biographies of great men and women. Through books, you can associate with the finest minds across time. Remember this: negative people will drag you to their level if you permit it. They'll tell you why your dreams won't work. They'll remind you of past failures. They'll suggest you're getting too big for your britches. Guard against these influences vigilantly. At the same time, seek out those rare people who believe in possibility, who challenge you to grow, who hold standards that make you stretch. These relationships are worth their weight in gold. Start today by making an honest assessment. Write down your 5 closest associates and consider their influence on your life. Are they helping you become the person you wish to be? If not, what changes might you make? The company you keep is not a small matter. It is helping to determine your future. Choose wisely, for as you select your associations, you are selecting the raw materials from which your life will be built. Lesson 10. The Daily Habit of Persistent Progress. We've all heard the saying, Rome wasn't built in a day. Yet how many of us truly appreciate the profound wisdom in these simple words? My friends, the greatest achievements in human history were not the result of single heroic moments, but rather the accumulated effect of consistent daily efforts applied over time. Consider the mighty oak tree that stands tall against the horizon. It didn't spring up overnight. It grew slowly, day by day, converting sunlight into energy, extending its roots deeper into the soil, adding one tiny ring of growth each year. The oak doesn't worry about growing too slowly. It simply persists in its purpose, following nature's timeline without frustration or impatience. What if you approached your life with the same patient persistence as the oak? What mountains could you climb if you simply refused to stop moving forward? The secret that separates the successful from the dreamers is not talent or luck, but the habit of persistent daily progress. I've known brilliant people who accomplished little because they worked in furious bursts, followed by long periods of inaction. Meanwhile, people of average ability have achieved remarkable success through the simple practice of doing something, anything, to move toward their goals every single day. Think about this. If you improve just 1% each day, after a year you'll be 37 times better than when you started. The mathematics of compound growth applies not just to your bank account, but to your skills, relationships, and personal development as well. The daily habit of persistent progress creates a momentum that becomes nearly unstoppable. Each small victory strengthens your confidence. Each step forward, no matter how tiny, puts distance between you and your starting point. I knew a woman who dreamed of writing a novel but felt overwhelmed by the enormity of the task. When I suggested she write just 1 page per day, a mere 250 words, she laughed at how insignificant it seemed, but I reminded her that at that modest pace, she would complete a 90,000-word manuscript in just 1 year. She followed this advice and not only finished her first book, but went on to become a successful author of 12 novels. Her secret: she never missed her daily page, not even once. People will treat you differently when they see your unwavering commitment to daily improvement. They'll begin to speak of you with respect, saying, "She's really going somewhere," or "He's a person of substance." Your consistency sends a powerful message about your character that others instinctively recognize and admire. Make this your vow today. I will make progress toward my most important goal every single day, without exception. No matter how small the step, I will move forward. Whether I feel motivated or not, whether circumstances are favorable or challenging, I will honor my commitment to daily advancement. Remember, the difference between who you are and who you wish to become is found in what you do daily. The habit of persistent progress maintained with unwavering consistency will transform not only how others see you, but how you see yourself. Lesson 11. The magnificent power of persistence. The great ships that have sailed the seven seas throughout history have one thing in common with successful men and women. They never turn back when they encounter storms. They persist through the rough waters, knowing that beyond the tempest lies calm seas and their intended destination. Persistence is the quality that separates those who achieve their goals from those who merely dream about them. I've studied the lives of thousands of successful people, and this one characteristic stands out above all others. Consider Thomas Edison. He tested over 10,000 different materials before finding the right filament for his electric light bulb. When a reporter asked him how it felt to fail 10,000 times, Edison replied, "I haven't failed. I haven't failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That's persistence in action. The average person quits just before success is about to visit them, like a miner who digs for gold and stops just 3 feet from the vein that would have made him wealthy. Most people give up right before their breakthrough. Most people give up right before their breakthrough moment arrives. Persistence means continuing on your chosen path, even when no immediate results are visible. It's like planting seeds in a garden. You must have the faith to water and tend the soil daily, even when no sprouts are yet visible to the eye. The germination happens beneath the surface, out of sight, before the evidence of your labor becomes apparent. Make no mistake. Persistence is not stubbornness. Stubbornness means continuing on a path that evidence shows is incorrect. Persistence, on the other hand, means staying true to a worthy goal and adjusting your approach as needed until you reach it. The habit of daily persistence creates a remarkable effect in how others treat you. People naturally respect those who demonstrate unwavering commitment. They begin to see you differently, as someone who finishes what they start, as someone who can be counted on. This perception opens doors that remain closed to the inconsistent masses. Here's a simple daily practice to build your persistence muscle. Choose one small but meaningful task and commit to doing it every single day for 100 days without exception. It might be reading 10 pages of a good book, writing in a journal, or practicing a skill for 15 minutes. The specific activity matters less than your unbroken commitment to it. What happens when you complete 100 days? The world will look at you differently because you'll be different. You'll have proven to yourself that you're a person who follows through. This self-knowledge creates a quiet confidence that others sense immediately. Water, one of the softest substances in nature, can cut through solid rock not through force, but through persistent action over time. Your consistent action over time, your consistent daily efforts have this same power to reshape the landscape of your life. The Chinese have a saying, "The temptation to quit will be greatest just before you are about to succeed." Keep this wisdom close when the path seems longest and the results furthest away. Make persistence your daily companion, and success will inevitably follow, as surely as dawn follows the darkest hour of night. Lesson 12. The daily practice that changes everything. The remarkable journey we've traveled together through these pages brings us to this final, crucial truth. Throughout my years observing the patterns that separate success from mediocrity, I've discovered that greatness never arrives through occasional, heroic efforts. Rather, it emerges through the quiet power of daily disciplines practiced faithfully when no one is watching. What is this one daily practice that will transform how people respond to you? It is the deliberate act of conscious gratitude, the decision to find value in every circumstance and acknowledge the good that surrounds you, even when it's obscured by challenges. When you cultivate gratitude as a daily discipline, something extraordinary happens in your life. Your perspective shifts from scarcity to abundance. The world responds differently because you are different. Gratitude acts as a powerful magnet, attracting more of what you appreciate into your experience. Consider this. 2 people face identical situations. One focuses on what's missing, the other on what's present, the other on what's present. The first person radiates discontent. The second emanates appreciation. Which person would you rather spend time with? Which would you rather promote or befriend? The answer reveals why gratitude changes how others treat you. I recall a gentleman I met years ago named Harold. He worked in a position many would consider ordinary, yet people were drawn to him like moths to a flame. His secret: each morning he wrote down 3 specific things he was grateful for, never repeating items. This simple practice trained his mind to constantly scan for the positive. Over time, his countenance changed. His voice carried a different resonance. People began responding to him differently, with more respect, more opportunity, with more opportunity. Gratitude doesn't just change your outlook. It rewires your brain. Medical research confirms that consistent gratitude practice reduces stress hormones while increasing mood, enhancing neurochemicals. You literally transform your physical state when you embrace thankfulness. The practice is simple. Each morning, before the day's demands crowd your thoughts, write down 3 specific things you genuinely appreciate. Be precise. Rather than my health, write the strength in my legs that allowed me to climb those stairs yesterday. Specificity directs your attention to the extraordinary detail in ordinary moments. Then, throughout your day, catch yourself when complaints arise. Replace them with statements of gratitude. Watch how this shifts the energy of your conversations. Notice how others respond differently when you're the person who finds the silver lining rather than pointing out the cloud. Remember always that gratitude is not merely a warm feeling. It is a decision, a discipline, a way of seeing. It requires practice, especially during difficult seasons. But like any muscle, it strengthens with use. The most successful among us have discovered that gratitude creates an upward spiral. The more you practice it, the more you find to be grateful for. The more you find to be grateful for. The more you find to be grateful for, the more life responds with abundance. Begin this practice today. You need nothing more than awareness and commitment. Watch as, day by day, your relationships transform, opportunities multiply, and people respond to the light you've cultivated within. This is the one thing done daily that will change everything.